Well, hello everyone, this is Griffin Hall here, coming at you from YouTube. I don't normally do videos like this in a tutorial kind of sense, but recently I've had an uptake of friends and customers and students asking about my process for this, so this is how I go about tying in a skin bag on any given set of pipes we're doing here at the shop. This particular combo is a set of Duncan McRae bagpipes on a Ganaway pipe bag from New Zealand. This particular style here doesn't have any zipper closure or anything like that, so this is the hardest way that you could tie in a bag without cutting the holes. Thankfully they do that for us. So step one here is I'm just wetting the leather around the stock holes. This is so that the leather doesn't tear or has a lesser chance of tearing as you slide the stock through the hole. I think the most important thing is that you go slow and you just kind of let the leather stretch naturally as much as possible. And here I am wetting or lubricating the bottom of the stock and the neck of the bag with something that will help slide that stock through the hole there. You want to make sure that that is well lubricated, otherwise that stock could become stuck in there. And let me just tell you, that's not a fun thing to have happen, so this will take a little bit of time, probably. Your first one's always the hardest, as you're both pushing it through, you're getting used to the strength and resistance that it takes, but you're also stretching the leather on that neck of the bag, so it does take a little bit of time. Once you do finally get it through, you're going to push it through the open hole there on the bag, and again, you want to make sure that you're wetting that leather and going very slow on this process. It's okay for it to take some time. You just want to make sure that you don't tear that leather, because once it starts tearing, that's kind of the point of no return. It's just going to get wider and wider and deeper. So the whole time you're doing this, you're feeling for the groove on the bottom of the stock. You don't want to pull that through, because then you'll have stretched the leather past where you need to, but you also don't want to tie it too far down to where most of the stock is inside the bag. So you're feeling for that the whole time as you're pulling it out here. As you get close, one of the things you're going to need is some of the tie-in string, which is just paracord, and you can buy that from any hardware store, really. You've wound that around a dowel rod, and here I am tying a little slip knot in that. Get good at that. I'm sure there's all kinds of Boy Scout manuals for things like that. You'll also need an unrelated loop that's just tied by itself. I'll use that for later. Here I am taking off all of my jewelry and things that could get hung up on the string, because you want to make this as easy as you possibly can. So your dowel rod goes on the ground there. You're going to take that slip knot around the base of the stock, and you're going to find the groove for where that slip knot should fit. And you pull that string there. And you do one big pull to kind of get it where you want the tension to be. And then as you wind it, like the little note said there, you want to pull away from your face, just in case this does snap. If it does, you don't want that bag to go into your nose or into your eyes or something like that and give you a fat lip. So again, pulling away from your face. And as you're doing this, you're kind of testing the stock inside the bag to make sure that it's not gonna move on you as you're tying it. So this is another view here with the camera closer to the ground. So you see I'm standing there on that dowel rod. And as I'm pulling away from my face. Once you get a couple winds on there, you want to add your loop with the knot side of your loop on the ferrule, close to the ferrule. That's going to be important for later. So you have the smooth end of your loop on the bag side and the knot side close to the ferrule there. You can see a little close up there. And there's the excess, of course, where you wound your slip knot in the first place. That's important, that you leave a little bit of excess there. So I wind it around and then give it a pull. Wind it around, give it another pull. And you're going to do that 2 to 3 times on each side of that. Then you're going to cut your string. Really important to keep the tension here around the binding that you just wound. If you release that, then you're in danger of the whole stock coming undone. You have to start this whole process over again. So you're going to take that end that you just snipped, and you're going to put that through the smooth side of the loop on the bag side of the loop. There's your knot end. With a dowel rod, you're going to take that, slip that through the knot end, and you're going to pull that loop through the binding. And again, just make sure that the knot took. You're going to test that stock again to make sure that it's not moving after all of that. So once you make sure that that's pretty well set, you're going to tie several knots around the binding here. Some people, after they do the tying of the knots and they snip the ends, some people actually use a lighter and they burn the ends of this. It's got some kind of poly synthetic material in there that burns and adheres to itself, which is good. I don't personally feel like I need to do that if I tie enough knots. So you snip the excess and you've got one stock in your bag. Looks pretty good there. So you got one down, 4 to go, and you're just repeating the steps on all the others. There's the middle tenor there. Satisfying snip. And the bass drone's kind of hard to get through the neck of the bag in this sense, but the more lubrication you have going through the neck, the more successful you're going to be on that. And your blowpipe stock is fairly straightforward. Some people like to angle it back towards them. And tying the chanter stock is pretty similar to all the others. Basically repeating all of the steps. It's easier to find the location of the groove. This time you're going to wind down the length of the stock so that you can put some binding around the end of the neck of the bag where the stock actually meets and marries up, just for additional air tightness. There's a little bit of a close-up there where you're seeing that I'm talking about. Give it 1 or 2 winds around the base there. Ganaway's got a pretty good neck on it. Some other bags have a seam or a binding or something like that, which may require you to build up the leather, either with other strips of leather, or I've even seen people use some wood or some other synthetic material or something like that in there. So once you've made a couple winds down towards the bottom, you're going to make your way up to the groove again. And you're going to add your loop, just as you do before. And here, unfortunately, after all of this work, you pull and the string snapped. So it's close enough that I kept it away from my face. Very sad. Normally when this happens, you might have to start all over again, but the magic thing is that you keep tension on the binding when that happens. I was able to save this one and kind of carry on as if nothing had happened. Here I am tying the knots just as we do, and after that things look very familiar to us now. So last thing to do is just to throw some corks in and you're testing for any immediate leaks. The bag's never going to be fully airtight until you give it its first priming and seasoning, of course, but the Ganaway bags are actually pretty good. They'll hold a pretty good seal even without all that. So if you've screwed up on a binding or something like that, that's going to be fairly obvious when you check this. Give it a couple pats. Make sure it's fairly secure. You're looking for something that's pretty uniform and pretty even. Tidy instrument makes for tidy sound. And there we go. Satisfying and a good feeling to have the bag finally done. So hopefully this is helpful to you as you tie in your first bag, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, I'd be happy to make them for you. Just let me know. All the best, and we'll see you around.